What's up guys, it's Nick Kutsia here from Mitochondria and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be covering all the questions that I got from you guys last week. So I popped an email out to you guys last week and we did a survey of what kind of questions you guys have about red light therapy. Obviously we try and predict as much as we can and try and make sure that we have the answers before you even think of the question. But at the end of the day, each person is going to have their own question that probably isn't answered. So what we've done is we've grouped all of them together in one survey. And in today's video, I'm literally going to cover them one by one. There's some really exciting ones, out of the box kind of thinking questions, which I hadn't even thought of. And I'm sure you're going to get some value from this. So without further ado, I just want to quickly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap basically, or just give you an overview of what the questions will be. And then we'll hit them out one by one. So the very first question is, does red light therapy hydrate you? Very, very good question about a side benefit that can come from red light therapy. Second question is going to be, is it possible to overdose with red light therapy? Third question, which I think this might be my favorite question, it's quite an interesting one. Why does red light have the opposite psychological effect to the color red? And then fourth question, which types of people shouldn't use red light therapy? Fifth question is going to be, if red light therapy increases energy, why is blue light also used as a treatment method? Next question is going to be, which types of blue light are actually beneficial? And then the final question is going to be, can I do red light therapy while I'm in the shower? And obviously that's not going to be, putting your device in the shower, but can you just aim it at yourself while you are showering and basically kill two birds with one stone? So let's jump into it. So this is a really great question because it actually covers one of the benefits that we don't talk about too much, or it's not the primary thing that we talk about when we speak of red light therapy. So the main mechanism that we talk about is the energy production within your cells. And that is basically, your mitochondria within your cells, they will use red and near infrared light in order to generate more ATP or energy. Now, as a byproduct of this process, as this turbine is basically spinning within your mitochondria, one of the side benefits that come from that is it actually generates water within your cells. So, the type of water that is inside our bodies doesn't just come from the water that we drink. It comes from breaking down certain types of foods, especially fats. But also, when you're exposed to red and near infrared light and your cells are generating more energy, at the same time, a byproduct of that is a really, really high quality of water that is produced. So doing red light therapy can have a hydrating effect, especially if you've got like tight muscles, your fascia, your connective tissue around your muscles and joints is really stiff. Then red light therapy can also play a role in helping to hydrate those areas which are dehydrated. And obviously that's going to lead you to better movement and to feeling a lot better in your skin. So thankfully, red light therapy doesn't use any kind of wavelengths of light that could burn you, such as ultraviolet light. And because it's an LED device, it also doesn't heat up, which means you're not going to actually get a heat burn from doing red light therapy with one of the MyLight devices. Now, it is possible to get less bang for your buck, so less benefit, if you overdo the treatment. So what basically happens is if you have too much red light therapy in a short time span, then basically what happens is your cell just gets overloaded. It has to basically, there's so much energy being produced that it doesn't give the cell's antioxidant capacity a chance to keep up with it. So what ends up happening is, you've created all this energy within your cell or cells, but now basically they have to divert some of that energy in order to deal with any free radicals that have been produced just as a byproduct of energy production. So it's something that does normally happen anyway, but if you overdo it in a short time span, especially when you start doing red light therapy, then basically what will happen is you just won't get as much benefits as you would have anyway. Now, in order to overdose, you really do have to, be a bit silly about it. We've had one or two people who've messaged us and said that they fell asleep literally in contact with the device for like 45 minutes. And what basically happens is they'll wake up with a slight headache or maybe a bit dehydrated, and it's just from really overstimulating yourself. If you stick within the guidelines on any of our devices, you're going to be absolutely fine. And even if you do overdose, normally it isn't any cause for concern. Obviously, for legal purposes, I will say if you start getting any kind of weird side effects, which is extremely, extremely rare, then, reach out to a medical professional. But other than that, you're not really running a really high risk like you would be with like a tanning light, like a UV light or something like that. Red light therapy is very safe to use and is very easy to stay within the recommended doses. So this is a really, really great question, because if you think about it in nature, if you saw something red, be that a frog or any kind of plant, red normally tells your brain danger, warning. Whereas when you're exposed to red and near-infrared light, especially in the evenings, it can have quite a calming effect. So what you need to think is, in nature, when we were exposed to red light, it would normally be in the form of full spectrum light. So the sun would be giving us at least 42% of its rays would be red and near-infrared light, but it would be balanced out. So you'd see this full spectrum color. The sun isn't really red except for the early morning, maybe in a sunrise or sunset, but it doesn't necessarily target just that red and near-infrared light like you would be getting from a device. So the color red, when your eyes see it, that signals danger. But red light itself, when it interacts with your cells, that can have a very calming effect, because it isn't stimulating your circadian rhythm like a blue light would, something like from your cell phones or that kind of thing. So if you're using red light in the evenings, it can have a nice calming effect. It is similar to like a fire or even to the sunset. So it's not going to be overactivating your brain. But at the same time, because it's providing your cells with more energy, let's say for instance you've got some inflammation that you're currently dealing with, that's going to make you feel a little bit stronger. Whereas if you get exposed to some red and near-infrared light and your cells or your body is able to deal with that inflammation, that is also another time when your body's going to start to relax. You're basically going to switch into your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your digest, relax and digest, instead of your fight and flight or sympathetic nervous system. So red light therapy, the type of light that you're being exposed to, can have an extremely calming effect. But if you just saw red on its own, normally, if you didn't only, if you didn't decipher that that's a red light therapy device, if you see that on like a frog or something in nature, that would normally signal, warning or danger. And that's actually, if I'm brutally honest, one of the hardest things we have at Mitochondria is everyone in marketing says, you should never use the color red in your marketing. And it's something obviously we can't get away from. But obviously, on our website and that we've got all this red. And if there's too much red on our products even, it can stimulate danger, or tell you, like, people get wary of buying a product that has too much red on it. Fun fact, but something that we've already had to think about on our marketing and everything like that, is having too much red can actually be a negative thing too. The type of light, being exposed to red light, is not going to be the same kind of effect, as that is actually interacting with your mitochondria, and that's going to have beneficial effects. So again, coming back to the safety of red light therapy, when we were speaking about dosage earlier, really for most people it is 100% safe to use. Even in children, there have been studies where they've used red light therapy and it has been alright. Obviously you would still need to supervise them, but when it comes to contraindications, there are certain cases where you might want to consult with a medical professional. Obviously at Mitochondria, we're not prescribing a red light therapy device for any specific condition. So if you're someone who, say for instance, has a tumor or cancerous growth, then it may be worth going, or it will be worth going to your medical professional and just getting the approval to say whether or not you can use red and near-infrared light therapy. But for most people, it's absolutely fine. If you have some kind of underlying condition that you are concerned about, at Mitochondria, we just recommend that you reach out or do a bit of your own research. Is also a great idea, just to see if there are other people who have used red light therapy in these instances, but there is a really low risk with it. So, use common sense and you should be fine, but don't try and treat a specific condition without consulting a medical professional. So this is also going to tie in with what we spoke about earlier with your circadian rhythm and how blue light helps to set your circadian rhythm. So this question actually came about asking about treating people with depression, and that's often when it is seasonal affective disorder. So that's people who aren't getting enough natural light, and basically the circadian rhythm is so off that they feel low, they don't have energy during the day, and obviously that leads to a lot of depressive symptoms. Now, blue light can be extremely good at stimulating your circadian rhythm when it's used in the right context. So blue light isn't always a bad thing. And that's why you'll see blue light is used for certain types of treatments, not necessarily to generate energy. That's where red and near-infrared light really outshines other wavelengths of light, is it generates the most energy within your cells. But blue light can have, a circadian rhythm aspect to it. You do have to use a bit more precaution. You would not want to do any kind of blue light in the evenings. That's going to completely wreck your sleep. But for people who aren't getting outside enough, often they will use blue light therapy in order to try and re-stimulate their circadian rhythm. There are certain types of skin conditions, I believe psoriasis also has been shown to have positive effect with blue light therapy. My personal opinion is that we get exposed to way too much blue light already with indoor lighting, that I would rather try and go for a natural source and we're probably getting enough blue anyway, I would try and use red light therapy in those instances if I could. But if you're someone who really does struggle with setting a circadian rhythm, you're really tired in the day, then it might be something that you want to look into a bit further. So the answer to this is all type of blue light. So the problem with blue light in general is not a specific frequency necessarily, because in nature, when the sun was, when we were exposed to natural sunlight, with that full spectrum, we would get the full range of blue light, but we would never get isolated blue light. That's the problem. So which types of blue light are actually beneficial? All of them. Which ones are bad? The ones that are isolated. Whatever that device is, if you have an LED light that is, basically giving you a high exposure of one type of frequency of blue light, let's say 450 nanometers, and it's not balanced out by any red and near infrared light, then that's the one that's going to be a problem. It's completely unnatural for our bodies to be exposed to just blue light without it being balanced out by the more calming or regenerative red and near infrared light. As I mentioned already in this video, the sun was always at minimum 42% red and near infrared light, but even in like the evenings and sunset and sunrise times, it could be even higher than that. That's when there'd be a lot less of the blue and a lot more of the red and near infrared. So which types of blue? All of them are beneficial as long as they're in the right time of day. So you don't want any blue light at night. And also it should be matched out with some red and near infrared light, just as nature would have given you when you're exposed to natural sunlight. Finally, someone wanted to find out if you can do red light therapy while you're in the shower. And this question also pertained to how to calculate the dosage if you are in the shower and you're at a certain distance. To be honest, there are too many variables here for you to actually be able to get an accurate measurement. So if you want to use it as a backlight while you're in the bathroom and you're having your shower, it's probably still a good idea, but don't necessarily try and do a targeted treatment while you're in the shower. The reason why I say that is, well, there's two reasons. One of them is that the water is actually going to have an impact on the light's ability in order to reach your skin. Obviously, light travels different through the air than it will through water, so you're not going to know, the wavelength of light might even slightly change, and the light intensity is going to be different, so you're not going to be able to calculate an accurate measurement based on the fact that it's going through water and not just air. The other thing is, if you're doing a cold shower, which I know a lot of our customers do, it's really healthy to do a cold shower. Cold therapy can actually have a diminishing effect on red light therapy if it's done too soon. So obviously at the same time, that's not going to be the best idea to do a cold shower and have red and near infrared light acting on your skin at the same time. It would be a much better idea to separate these two. So I know it's obviously a thought that you can kill two birds with one stone. While you're having a shower, do your red light therapy. I would more recommend that you just have your red light therapy device, hanging behind your door in your bedroom. Have your shower. If it's a warm one, it's not cold. And then from there, get out and then stand in front of your device for 5 to 10 minutes, whatever it is. And that way you're going to get a much more accurate measure of how much red and near infrared light you're getting. And you're not going to have to worry about whether there's any kind of impact coming from your shower. And that brings us to the end of the questions from today. If you guys have any more, you're welcome to email them through to me. Maybe we'll have a follow-up to this one. So you can email me, it's nick@mitochondria.com. Other than that, I hope that you guys have a fantastic day further, and we'll chat again soon. Cheers.